Part 1. The Birth of a Civilization. Long before marble temples crowned rocky hills and philosophers debated beneath shaded porticos, the land that would become ancient Greece was a rugged world of mountains, islands, and restless seas. The geography itself shaped destiny. Unlike the vast river valleys of Egypt or Mesopotamia, Greece was fragmented, its valleys separated by ridges, its communities divided by terrain. This isolation gave birth not to a single empire, but to independent city-states, each with its own identity, pride, and ambition. The story begins in the Bronze Age with the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete. Flourishing around 2000 BCE, the Minoans built grand palaces such as those at Knossos, decorated with vibrant frescoes of dolphins, bull leapers, and ceremonial processions. Their society thrived on trade across the Mediterranean. Ships carried pottery, olive oil, and crafted goods to distant shores. Unlike later Greek cultures, the Minoans seemed relatively peaceful. Their art depicts movement and nature more than war. Yet around 1450 BCE, their dominance faded, perhaps weakened by earthquakes or the volcanic eruption of Thera, and eventually overtaken by mainland warriors. On the Greek mainland rose the Mycenaean civilization, more militaristic and fortified. Massive stone walls surrounded cities like Mycenae and Tiryns. Kings ruled from citadels, and warrior elites sought glory in battle. This was the age that inspired epic legend. From this era emerged tales later immortalized in Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, stories of heroes, gods, and the fabled Trojan War. Though myth and history intertwine, archaeological discoveries reveal that Mycenaean Greeks were powerful traders and fighters whose influence stretched across the Aegean. But around 1200 BCE, the Mycenaean world collapsed. Trade networks crumbled, cities burned, and writing disappeared. Greece entered what historians call the Dark Age. Population declined, and knowledge of writing was lost. Yet even in hardship, seeds of renewal were planted. Oral traditions preserved stories of heroes and gods. Gradually, communities reorganized, iron tools replaced bronze, and trade revived. By the 8th century BCE, Greece was awakening. The alphabet, adapted from the Phoenicians, returned literacy to the land. Population growth led to colonization. Greek settlers founded cities from southern Italy to Asia Minor, spreading language and culture. At home, the polis, the city-state, became the foundation of Greek life. Each polis was independent, governed by its own laws and customs. Among them rose Athens, a city that would become synonymous with democracy and intellectual brilliance. Initially ruled by kings and later aristocrats, Athens underwent political transformation. Lawgivers like Solon introduced reforms to reduce inequality and limit the power of noble families. Eventually, under Cleisthenes, Athens developed a radical system, democracy. Male citizens could participate directly in decision-making, debating laws in the assembly. Though limited by modern standards, excluding women, slaves, and foreigners, it marked a revolutionary idea, governance by the people. In contrast stood Sparta, a society built on discipline and military excellence. Spartan boys were taken from their families at a young age to endure rigorous training. Strength, obedience, and endurance were paramount. While Athens valued debate and art, Sparta valued order and martial prowess. Yet both were products of the same Greek spirit, fiercely independent and deeply loyal to their polis. Religion united the Greeks despite political divisions. They worshipped a pantheon of gods believed to dwell atop Mount Olympus. Zeus ruled the skies, Athena embodied wisdom and warfare, Apollo governed music and prophecy. Temples rose in their honor, sacrifices were offered, and festivals celebrated divine favor. Among these gatherings were the Olympic Games, first held in 776 BCE, where athletes from across Greece competed in honor of Zeus. The 5th century BCE brought trials that would define Greek identity. The Persian Empire, vast and powerful, sought to expand westward. Greek city-states faced invasion. In 490 BCE, Athenian forces defeated the Persians at Marathon. A decade later, Persian king Xerxes launched a massive campaign. At Thermopylae, a small Spartan-led force resisted heroically. Though defeated, their stand became legend. Soon after, Greek naval forces triumphed at Salamis. United against a common enemy, the Greeks preserved their independence. Victory ushered in the Golden Age of Athens. Under Pericles, the city flourished culturally and architecturally. The Parthenon rose atop the Acropolis, symbolizing civic pride. Dramatists such as Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides explored human fate and moral conflict on stage. Historians like Herodotus and Thucydides began recording events not as myths, but as analytical inquiry. And philosophers questioned existence itself. Socrates wandered the streets asking probing questions. His student Plato founded the academy, while Aristotle later examined logic, biology, and ethics with unmatched rigor. Yet beneath prosperity lay tension. Rivalry between Athens and Sparta deepened, eventually leading to the Peloponnesian War. For nearly 3 decades, Greek fought Greek. The conflict drained resources, shattered alliances, and weakened the once unified spirit that had repelled Persia. In 404 BCE, Athens fell to Sparta, but Sparta's dominance proved short-lived. Greece remained divided and vulnerable. This fragmentation set the stage for a new power rising in the north, Macedon. Under King Philip II, Macedon reformed its military and extended influence over Greece. When Philip was assassinated, his son inherited both ambition and opportunity. That son was Alexander. Part 2: Conquest, Legacy, and Transformation. When Alexander the Great ascended the throne of Macedon in 336 BCE, few could have predicted the scale of his ambition. Educated by Aristotle and trained in warfare from youth, Alexander combined intellectual curiosity with relentless drive. He sought not merely to rule Greece, but to conquer the known world. Within a few years, he launched a campaign against the Persian Empire. His army, disciplined and innovative, crossed into Asia Minor. At battles such as Issus and Gaugamela, Alexander's tactical brilliance overcame numerically superior Persian forces. One city after another fell. Egypt welcomed him as a liberator. There he founded Alexandria, a city that would become a beacon of knowledge. Eventually, he pressed eastward into Mesopotamia, Persia, and as far as India. Alexander's empire stretched from Greece to the Indus River. Yet his vision extended beyond conquest. He encouraged cultural blending between Greeks and conquered peoples. Greek language and ideas spread across vast territories, merging with local traditions. This fusion created the Hellenistic world, a cosmopolitan age where art, science, and philosophy thrived. After Alexander's sudden death in 323 BCE, his empire fragmented among his generals. Though politically divided, the Hellenistic kingdoms continued to spread Greek culture. In Alexandria's great library, scholars studied mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Euclid codified geometry. Archimedes explored principles of physics. The Greek language became a lingua franca across the eastern Mediterranean. Back in mainland Greece, independence waned. City-states struggled to regain former glory, internal conflicts persisted, and new powers emerged. Eventually, Rome entered the scene. By the 2nd century BCE, Roman forces defeated Greek kingdoms, and Greece became part of the expanding Roman Republic. Yet, conquest did not erase Greek influence. Instead, Rome absorbed it. Roman elites admired Greek art, philosophy, and education. Greek tutors instructed Roman youth. Temples, sculptures, and literature inspired Roman creations. In many ways, Greece conquered Rome culturally, even as Rome ruled Greece politically. The legacy of ancient Greece endures profoundly. Democratic principles developed in Athens influenced political thought centuries later. Philosophical traditions begun by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle continue shaping ethics, science, and logic. Theatre, historical writing, and athletic competition trace roots to Greek innovation. Even modern language bears Greek imprints in words like democracy, philosophy, theatre, and politics. Ancient Greece was never a single empire unified for centuries. It was a mosaic of fiercely independent communities bound by shared language, religion, and cultural ideals. From the seafaring Minoans to the disciplined Spartans, from Athenian philosophers to Alexander's conquests, Greece transformed the ancient world. Its mountains and islands once fostered division, yet from that fragmentation emerged diversity and creativity unmatched in antiquity. Through triumph and conflict, brilliance and rivalry, ancient Greece forged ideas that outlived its armies and kings. Today, when we study political systems, analyze ethical dilemmas, or attend the Olympic Games, we echo a civilization that flourished over 2 millennia ago. The story of ancient Greece is not merely the tale of a distant past, it is a living foundation of the modern world.